The doctor wanted revenge on the man who had assaulted his daughter, so he secretly changed the man's gender, then gave him plastic surgery to look exactly like his late wife. He thought this would be the perfect punishment for Nick, but as time passed, Jack the doctor unexpectedly fell in love with the person he had created. They even began sleeping in the same bed, and Nick, now completely changed, devoted himself fully to Jack. Jack eventually let his guard down. He even allowed Nick to go out shopping with the housekeeper. The housekeeper, however, remained suspicious. She feared Nick might try to escape, but Jack was so confident and relaxed that the housekeeper had no choice but to take a handgun with her. While the two were out, a former colleague of Jack suddenly showed up. This man had once assisted Jack during a surgery, and now that Jack had retired from medical work, he hoped Jack would rent out the private estate that still had an operating room, but Jack refused without hesitation. Unfortunately for him, the colleague had come prepared. He pulled out an old news article about Nick's disappearance, and threatened to expose Jack for performing an illegal surgery. He also knew Jack had been researching synthetic skin, which made him seriously suspect that Nick had been used as a human experiment, and was now being held captive. He demanded that Jack meet his terms, or else he would report everything to the authorities, but Jack wasn't one to be blackmailed. He pulled out a gun and threatened his colleague. Just as the standoff escalated, Nick suddenly walked into the room. He told the colleague that everything he had done was voluntary, that Jack had nothing to do with it. Realizing he had no leverage, the colleague backed off and left. After that incident, Jack completely let his guard down around Nick. He believed Nick had truly fallen for his charm, but he had no idea that Nick had never given up on revenge. That night, while they were being intimate, Nick said he was going downstairs to get some lubricant. Jack, feeling totally safe, didn't suspect a thing, but instead of lubricant, Nick reached into a drawer and grabbed a handgun. Staring at the newspaper with a picture of his former self, all the rage he had buried came rushing back. He went back upstairs and pointed the gun at Jack. The gunshot echoed through the house, startling the housekeeper downstairs. Sensing danger, she rushed upstairs with her own weapon, but when she entered the room, she found Jack already dead, and Nick nowhere in sight. As she cautiously scanned the room, Nick fired from under the bed, killing her instantly. With both of them gone, Nick finally escaped from the place that had imprisoned him for 10 long years. He ran through the night until he reached his mother's dress shop, but when his mother saw him standing in front of her, she didn't even recognize him anymore.